Here with OpenAI CFO Sarah Friar. Good to see you first and foremost. I think you're the most popular person at this conference, besides me, Sarah.
Just you.
Yeah.
You are it, number one.
You have to be. Are people just following you around, asking you questions about what OpenAI is doing next? I mean, so many investors in this room, and it's just so hard to keep up with the pace of development over at your company.
Yeah, I mean, it is a wild pace that we're on. You're defining a whole new era of AI. What I kind of love is like the one thing a conference gives you is a chance to kind of compare and contrast. I think a year ago, a lot of people were still in, it's like AI real? And I think here we are a year later, 700 million consumers using the product, 4 million enterprises using it, and I think the value is very real to people.
700 million? Mm-hmm. How fast is the platform growing?
So revenue this year will grow over 3x, so about 13 billion in revenue from about 4 billion last year. So it's tripling on a very big base as well.
So wait, so how much, this year you'll do what, 4 billion, or that was last year?
Last year's 4, this year about 13.
What is it like crunching the numbers for OpenAI?
We use a lot of our own technology to do it. So that is the good news, we're doing it in a very efficient way.
So it's reinvented the finance department?
We are. That is, I kid you not, actually. We use custom GPTs for things like IR. We're using it in our flux, which is a very finance term, but end of the month when you compare what happened to what was supposed to happen, we use a lot of agentic software there. We're using it in areas like procurement, T&E, you name it. We're kind of really trying to create the finance function of the future.
If I'm going to put on my tech vest and pretend I'm an analyst at this Goldman conference.
Yeah, I want to see the bro vest.
Yes. So here's my question for you. Wearing that very fancy vest, where are we at in the investment cycle for AI?
I mean, we are, I might have to use a sports analogy, which is always scary as someone that didn't grow up in this country, but like we're in the first inning. A lot of people have compared the AI era to things like the railway build-out, because it is a very capital-intensive build-out. But I think we are just beginning. We've maybe laid some track from New York to Baltimore, but we're ultimately going to blanket the US and ultimately blanket the world. And so anyone who thinks this cycle is, at a zenith is just, is not seeing what I'm seeing, certainly, which is every day, every week, every month, we are very, very short of compute. It means we can't launch features, we can't train models, we can't give compute to researchers that could have incredible breakthroughs in areas like healthcare and education and science. And so I really am happy to see how much as a country we're coming together to invest, but also just globally how much people are getting that message now.
Will we ever have enough compute?
I mean, I don't know, ever say ever. I'm sure at some point, but in the same way, like, could we ever have enough bandwidth for the internet? Like, could you answer that question today? Probably not. The internet's 2 decades old. So I think it's going to be a long time before we can say, yes, we're done.
How does Stargate play in this?
So Stargate is our term for all of our compute fabric. Think of it as both how we work with third parties, so folks like Microsoft or CoreWeave or Oracle or Google even. But think of it also as our plan for how we will build and design data centers on our own as well, because we think that over the longer run, it will take both first party and third party in order to have enough compute. But also we are creating a lot of IP, and I want to be able to keep that IP in-house, monetize that IP, and really kind of get the benefit of it. Think of it as kind of Amazon back in the day. If they hadn't created AWS, that would have been a whole massive part of the story that didn't ever manifest. And so at OpenAI, I want to make sure that as we build that full stack, we take advantage of what we're learning, being on the frontier, being the biggest, and learning how to build that well, build that more efficiently, and then take advantage of it in our business model.
When you're modeling out various financial scenarios at OpenAI, do you have the demand it just goes up? When do things flatten down? When do you see that? And are we on the planet when things flatten out?
I mean, when you're at 700 million weeklies, you're starting to talk about, if you looked at our monthlies, you'd be getting close to maybe 20-ish% of the internet population of the world on your platform, right? If you take out, folks that are too young or maybe too old on the other side. But it's only 20%. And we think that this is a technology where everyone benefits. You're getting raw intelligence at your fingertips. And so I would say we're still getting started. And as we build out those models, what gets interesting, it's not just about the user growth, which is tremendous, but it's also about then what are all the areas where we could build products, build business models, and how do those interplay, right? Consumer hardware, great example, right? We just bought the IO team, brought Johnny Ive and team into the fold. that could be a whole new business model for us in the same way the iPhone was for the world of mobile.
So you're not launching a phone. Do you want to share what he's actually working on? Do you know?
I have to actually sit on my hands when I talk about it.
But he is working on something.
I hope he's working very hard on something right now.
Is that this year a launch for that? Or?
Probably more next year. Hardware has a little bit of a longer gestation period, but we're quite excited. I mean, this technology is multimodal, and I think about the prior era of internet really taught us to look at a screen. If anyone's got kids out there, they know it's hard to get them sometimes off that screen. When you start talking about being able to use voice or listen or use images or video, right, it becomes very, very intuitive and in some ways much more human. But I don't think we yet have the form factor to serve that up.
If you and I are here 1 year from now having this conversation, I hope we are. Is OpenAI a public company?
Ooh, that is a good question. It comes back to like, what do we need to do to build the business? So fundraising is absolutely central to our success.
I can't keep up with your valuations anymore. I've lost track.
We have done a lot of fundraising in the past year. To me, an IPO is just another form of a fundraise. So will we still be fundraising to keep funding compute? I suspect the answer to that is yes. But we'll do it because we see a really strong ROI on the investment into the business with all of the people we're able to serve, going back to our mission, AGI for the benefit of humanity, but also in the products that we're able to create, and then ultimately the ROI that we see on those over a longer term.
Where would you put that being a public company in the priorities for OpenAI?
I will never put being a public company as a priority because I think it's not a destination. It's a milestone on a journey. In the same way I would never put a fundraise as like the outcome. Rather, it's like thinking more broadly, what does it need to really accelerate this business? And so right now we need money to invest in compute, money to invest in great researchers, and we need to keep bringing customers along by showing them value, whether it's enterprise customers all the way through to small businesses, to consumers, and doing it in a way where we're at the forefront with our models, we're doing it in a very safe way, and that people feel like they're getting to transform their lives.
What do you think about some of the last valuation I saw on OpenAI, close to $500 billion? I mean, these are very large numbers. What do you think about some of these numbers?
I mean, it goes back to where we started. We talked about the revenues. So if you're going from 4 billion to 13, so you're tripling at these, like real money, right? You're not like at 100 million going to whatever, 400 million. And these are like real leaps. Then I start to think about, well, what would the market pay for that in terms of a multiple? It doesn't take that much to kind of project forward 13 billion into 2026, into 27. Remember, it's a recurring revenue business. And then start to put software internet multiples on it. The types of valuations that you're reflecting back at me aren't really that stretched.
Why not
actually.
1 trillion? I mean, the growth rates might be there.
Well, I mean, if I come at it a different way, if you look at this era of computing, right, it spawned the first 4 trillion market cap companies, right, NVIDIA, Microsoft, and so on. We think the AI era is even bigger than all of that. So should it be spawning a bigger than $4 trillion market cap company or companies? Absolutely yes. I certainly hope we're one of them because we are today on the forefront, and I hope we don't squander that lead. I hope we can continue to build on all of the moats that we're putting into the business. And so absolutely, I think you're going to be in trillions of dollars of market cap in this era.